our pride. Z, G, and E will take you on this ride. Week by week, side by side. It's section 1, 2, 3. We're the rowdiest in town. The Pirates, Game, and Uncle Dave, and Big Fudge all around. We sing our songs, we chant as one. Through thick and thin, the match day's just begun. In the North End, we stand together. Through every game, through any weather. From the first whistle to the final blow, the North End will never let go. Under the lights of Q2, our home, our sacred ground. In green and black, we fight, our voices loud and proud. Trio sees magic, Bacardi speed, Stuva saving grace. With every goal we score, the lights turn verde, it's our place. So knows the mastermind, building our dream. Dan rules everything around me, as he strengthens our team. Let Rodo cook, he's got the perfect recipe. Austin FC, our heart and soul forever will. In the North End, we stand together. Through every game, through any weather. From the first whistle to the final blow, the North End will never let go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 201. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him
E.
He's sitting here on a Sunday, victorious Austin, Texas, coming off an opening night win down at the Q. A little cold, a little rainy, a little wet. But how you feeling here on Sunday with the weather warming up outside a little bit too? It's pretty nice out.
Absolutely ecstatic, man. What a night. I was so excited to be back, just in general, to see all of our friends who we were able to see. I'm not going to go through everyone's name because it was just like a high school reunion, meeting up with all the folks that we love seeing there in the North End and other various places. But what a victory last night. What a great way to kick off this season. I think there's a lot to talk about in regard to this game, how it went, and the ability for this team to go ahead and get the job done versus a feisty SKC team last night who I think implemented their game plan and strategy really well. So it was a very, very solid win in my book. And I'm just so happy to be back talking about dubs, talking about the games, being able to recap, going through the rewatches again now. You know, it seems like a long ways away from when we were, previewing this season and all that stuff. And we're finally here. So I'm in a fantastic mood, ready to roll. Hope everyone else is as well.
Yeah, before we get into the rest of today's episode, of course, we'll recap last night's win. We got a couple pieces of news to talk about, a little academy update, some positive nonsense, I think, here at the end of today's episode, E. But before we get into all of that, just want to remind you all listening or watching on the YouTube channel that the best way to support the show, you can actually support us financially by downloading the audio versions of all of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Usually on those platforms, there's an option to toggle on auto downloads. You can do that and support the show going forward without having to think about it again. You can go their extra mile, rate, review, and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, hitting that subscribe button does help us grow the show. And you can also hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, here on episode 201, hit the thumbs up button, like the video. Help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. E, before we get to last night's game, it was an eventful week, of course, leading up to the opener. It always is, but a little extra kick here this year because on Wednesday, we get the Mirtu Uzuni welcome presser and welcome event with the fans. I was actually lucky enough to be invited down to the press conference, kind of watch off on the side there, which was cool to just, be in close proximity right?
Mm-hmm.
To Mirtu, to Roto, to everybody else who was down there. So that was very fun. Shout out to our boy Ag for that. And then the rest of the fans later that evening getting to meet up with Mirtu in the Captain Morgan Club. Of course, everybody bundled up. I thought one of the cool things about this, and you can see it if you're watching here on the YouTube, that like this group of Albanian Austinites came out, and I thought that was like just a little extra special touch. That it's something that I didn't personally think about being a
Mm-hmm.
potential outcome of these normal fan welcome events that we have for some of the bigger signings. So I'm sure that helped Mirtu feel a little bit more welcome here in his new digs. But you see everybody getting a chance to come up and welcome him to Austin. And you see at the end gets the picture there with everybody. If you look up top left, I spotted our boy Podcast P with the freshly printed Azuni jersey back there behind the trumpets. But it's great to have him here. Mirtu was out on the pitch before the game last night, walked up through the north end up to the boxes there behind us to take in the match. And I don't know, man, after I know, he trained a couple days with the team this week, about to get a full week of training here before Portland next week. And I expect him to be active on the bench and probably make an appearance with minimal minutes come next Saturday night. Maybe that's too hopeful, but again, we are mere days away now, whether it's next week or back home against Colorado in 2 weeks. Mirtu is going to be close to a debut here very soon.
Absolutely. What a great event. Looks like everyone had an absolutely fantastic time. What a show out. I mean, this fan base, man, just continues to impress me. And so happy he's here. He's into the fold, everything. We got him introduced. That's fantastic stuff. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to bring. I saw a good amount of chatter about No Mirtu on the bench last night, on the socials and everything like that. And I hope everyone just was, able to understand that he just got here. He hasn't played since Christmas,
December,
around that time and everything. So I was very skeptical, even though I had been adamant about him getting in here. We're taking care of business. He's going to be able to go. But once that timeline started to get dragged out a bit more, I was very skeptical that we were going to see him on the team last night. And that ended up being the case. And, I think that this is a situation that's going to keep evolving here. And I do think he's going to get up to speed pretty quickly. And like you said, targeting either this Portland matchup coming up here or a full go versus Colorado. I think both of those things are definitely in play.
Yeah, man, it was 2 weeks ago. We didn't know when he was going to get here. We didn't know if he was going to be in Austin for the opener. So, again, we're taking those small necessary steps towards having the full squad ready to go here. The next day, on Thursday, we got Coach Estevez, his post-practice media availability leading up to the opener. He did name Ilie Sanchez the new captain. Again, we talked about those pronunciations. I got to start working on the Spanish, the Sanchez. That might take me a little while to get used to that. But Captain Ilie, and then you did get Ilie's media availability too. Nico also shared that Jimmy was the only player that would be inactive for Saturday's game, and that is what we saw when the injury report came out on Friday. But your thoughts on Ilie being named the captain? Again, that's who I said was the favorite for me last week. I know you had some BHI stocks in there that you bought up. But how do you feel about that decision? I guess with the context of his performance last night, maybe feeling even better about that than you did initially.
I mean, exactly. Took the words right out of my mouth there. After seeing what he was able to do last night, after seeing his ability to lead, to tell guys where to be, to dictate us, because, I mean, he was dropping back as essentially the last player in front of Bradley Scott Stuver when we were trying to go ahead and move the ball out wide and everything. I thought he had great command, great control. I think the guys respect him. I think that, players around the league also respect him. So I think it was the right call, and that would have been, he was probably the chalk to get the captain's band and everything. But it seems like it's well-deserved. Obviously, a long season ahead of us. But after that first introduction last night, looks like the right man for the job.
Yeah, no, I agree, at least with our small sample size that we have here so far. Then on Friday, we do get a little piece of unexpected news here. Roto, not quite done leading into the season, on the eve of the opener, announces that Austin FC signs Damian Loss to a contract extension. So, of course, Damian, and again, I shouldn't be talking about this without...
The best keeper in the world.
Right, so we've got the best keeper in the world now on his deal, guaranteed through the end of 2027, with an option for 2028. He's back out on loan this season with Louisville City in USL. And so taking a look just at the depth charts year over year here, you can see that 2027 group that is locked in. Damian Loss joins Alexander Svatok, Mikkel Desser, Guilherme Biru, Nico Dubersarski, Owen Wolf, Micah Burton, Basard Sabovic, Osman Bukhari, Brandon Vasquez, and Mirtu Azuni as the players who are signed guaranteed through the end of the 2027 season. And adding Damian to that list that I read off on the pod a couple weeks ago does not feel bad. And again, a further evidence that Roto either sees a prosperous sale of Damian down the road, or the strong potential for him to be the top goalkeeper on the roster at some point in the future. So you like to see those, really promising young talents, young assets secured for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, this is no subtle hint that Damian is a part of our future going forward. And I absolutely love it. I hope that he's able to get a bunch of time with Louisville there, continue to develop. That's what he's going to have to do. We understand what the level of play that Stuver has been playing at. And, he's one of the top keepers in the league right now. So the minutes and time are going to be hard to come by here in Austin. So I'm very, 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 very happy with this situation. We got him back to an organization that we know we trust, that he had success with, and now we're locking him up with this extension, moving him forward. It's a very good thing.
Yeah, right there with you. And of course, we can have our discussions later on Stuver potential extension, Cleveland option being picked up, right? That is for the fall, right? Mm-hmm. So we can talk about that later. Before we jump into our recap of last night's win, just want to remind everybody to sign up over at Underdog Fantasy.
The MLS season is almost here. If you want to make some picks on your favorite players in sports, check out Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em game. You choose higher or lower on between 2 to 8 players, and you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. Underdog is available in 33 states, including right here in Texas. To sign up, click the link in the description of this video and use promo code NORTHEND at sign up, and you'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick to get you started. So join the millions of fans who have won billions on Underdog.
Signing up at Underdog Fantasy with that promo code NORTHEND not only gets you that deposit bonus, not only gets you the free pick, but if you did that before week 1 and you read what we gave out on the northendpodcast.com, nice little 11x night for anybody who tailed there. So we can talk a little bit more about that to close out the episode, the successful nonsense from week 1. But again, if you want to get in on that, have some fun along with us here throughout this season, promo code NORTHEND. The link to sign up at Underdog is in the YouTube description of this episode. So lineup comes out about an hour before kickoff on Saturday evening, and no surprises, man. I think almost everybody we had no hot takes here with our lineup. Almost everybody was able to call this lineup before it even dropped.
Yeah, this is the choice 11 with Mirtu not ready to go for me. So I was very satisfied with what we rolled out there, and I thought that the product looked very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, of course, there are still positional battles, specifically in the midfield with Basard Sabovic, and, Dibosarski is going to get his chance, right, in training to try to grab some minutes there. And I think we could see a little bit of a revolving door at center back, depending on the opponent. But we'll see how the new coaching staff handles that over the first few months here. Couple notable things on the Sporting side to begin this match. They did not have Dejan Joveljic or Manu Garcia in their starting lineup. Replacing Garcia with the teenager Bartlett in the midfield, I think, is a downgrade, but Willie Agata is also very, very dangerous up top. Mm-hmm. So having him in there instead of Joveljic, I didn't think there was too much drop off there, but I don't know, man. From the first 10 minutes or so of this match, I had a couple notes. First, for them, they weren't getting anything going. You could tell immediately that Kansas City was trying to sit back and absorb some pressure and really play the 2024 Austin FC role, right? We're shorthanded. We're on short rest. We're playing a team that on paper is more talented. So we're going to sit back, muck things up, and try to take our chances and steal some points here. For Austin, you mentioned a few minutes ago, right? Ilie, when you're building up from the back, especially against this very compact block that Sporting was sitting back in. Ilie sitting in between the two center backs there. And I don't think we ever really saw Danny or Johan or Ring in the past or just last year drop quite that deep. But no matter if Ilie was a little bit further forward than he was to begin this match, it just felt so good to have him on the ball there instead of our former Punisher, who just, and even with Alex Ring, man, the distribution from Ilie, not just on that back line in the buildup, but when he was able to matriculate up the pitch as well, he can break lines. He's smart. He's organizing physically and vocally out there. So again, it just seemed like an upgrade over like multiple former midfield options that we've had in that spot.
It seemed like a great upgrade to me, and I loved the way that we took our shape. And when he was dropped in between those center backs there, being able to push the ball out wide, he's decisive but calm. So like when he's on the ball, he's got the ball at his feet. He's not rushed by anyone. He's going to make the right read, the right decision, and he was putting accurate balls on everyone last night. I think 71 out of 79 completed passes. And like that is really not only allowed us to absorb pressure when Kansas City was coming out of their shell to try to get a counter on us, but was also allowing us to be able to dictate the flow of that game and the way that the game was going to be played. Because like, you know, we saw it, and like as you outlined, they were ready to absorb pressure. They were going to sit back. They were going to try to get a draw here, you know, and like this is the only sport that we've been involved in where the game plan to get a win for some teams on the road or what have you is a draw. That's a win. If Kansas City was able to go in there last night and get a point out of this game, they would have been incredibly satisfied with that result. So I loved seeing the shape that it took, and it seems like Ilie is the perfect guy for that situation. And when he was back there, I never felt like, okay, big turnover might be coming. This ball is going around the horseshoe, but like we're not really doing anything with it. But at the same time, it was like we were able to consistently apply pressure without overextending ourselves, and having that defensive force in the back with Ilie, also someone who is able to distribute the ball, is just a really beautiful thing going forward. So I'm excited to see what this midfield is going to do and how it's going to take shape. And I think that, you know, this is the first in action game, real stuff. This is when it counts that we've seen with this midfield in particular, which I think is the most interesting set of positional set that we have on this team right now, with who we're going to be able to rotate in, what they're able to do well, what they're, what players make up for the lack of other tangible skills that some of these guys have. So like, it's interesting to see. And I remember looking at you and kind of saying like, well, this is great because you're getting that defensive prowess that we got out of Alex with Ilie, but you're also getting the ability to distribute and have Danny be able to pivot a little bit more and push up the field. And I think that's something that he's going to have to get a bit more accustomed to, weathered. And I think that that's going to be a big thing that I'm going to be keeping my eye on as we get into these games. They start rolling around here.
The one thing that Ilie does bring that we did have from our beloved former captain as well is the fouls, right? Here in the 9th minute, Ilie, I thought, should have gotten a yellow card for this. Just kind of two-hand tackles Willie Agata to stop a break. I thought Agata used his body well there to shield him off, but I was kind of surprised there wasn't a yellow shown. But Chris Penso definitely let the guys play to start this one. And because on subsequent infractions, I think he handled it there was a lot of consistency from him. I didn't have any problem really either way here with the officiating. We did see a lot of Biru inverting into the midfield again. And on that left side, right, really on both wings, you're seeing these trios going to work together. On the left last night, it's Buka, it's Biru, it's Owen Wolf floating over there from his midfield position. On the right, it's O'Brien and Dessler and Danny floating over there from his midfield position, and Ilie and BV working in and out of those spaces around those groups. It seemed, again, still very organized, not too dissimilar from what we've seen in the past, but I think a little bit more decisiveness from the guys, a little bit more movement that seems to have a purpose, especially in breaking down this defense that, again, like you said, I agree, Sporting, I think, executed very, very well last night with their game plan. So 17th minute here, Austin's press, I thought, was finding success really throughout the night, but early on, especially after that first 15 minutes, is when, Austin had control of this game right off the rip.
Yeah.
but they weren't really able to make too many inroads in the first 15. But in the 17th minute, you get Dessler deflecting a ball in that defensive third. That ball falls to Danny, quick set of passes to Obi, then Brandon, who turns through the contact from a Sporting defender and kind of drags it across the top of the area, takes a crack. It goes right at Postgame, who spills it. There's just nobody there to tap home that loose ball. But of course, that first chance that John Polskamp has to touch the ball and he doesn't catch it cleanly. We were not the only ones in section 123 that were on his ass last night, and for good reason, man. Again, he didn't have much to do, but I was still unimpressed when he did have to handle things back there.
No, he's bad. He's not a good goalkeeper. And that might be my only critique from last night, is that you had a shit goalkeeper back there in Postgame. And for everyone who watched that game last night, I'm assuming Sporting and Austin fans can probably all agree that he is not good. He really
he's
struggled.
Definitely not above average for MLS.
No. And it seems like he lacks a little confidence too. After you saw him spill that first one, he's going over, he's grabbing one of the balls that are like the replacement balls, trying to get a feel for it and everything. So my only critique last night was I wished we uncorked a few more shots on this dude. You had the weather. You knew that ball was going to skip. We've seen this dude struggle with skipping soccer balls coming into his zone. And that's how Alex got a cheap goal versus him last season. But that was my only critique, is I thought that we probably should have uncorked some more. But then on the rewatch, you saw that Sporting KC was definitely implementing that kind of here's our back block. We're going to be sitting in it, and we're going to try to at least get some deflections when you're trying to get a shot off. But a couple situations, particularly with Owen, I think one or two with Buka as well, where you did have a little light of day. And I felt go ahead and test this dude, because he's not very good. So that's my only real critique. But walking back to you bringing up the shape and trio of players, I thought we were able to really segment the field into thirds and dominate each section of play when the ball was in those territories. And I thought that was really fantastic. There's a lot more freedom for guys to move around. Biru is going to get up no matter what, even if the coach is telling him not to. I'm assuming he's going to go ahead and make the moves like that. But it looks like it's kind of baked in to what we want to do here. And I think, again, just really, really encouraging stuff that you saw out of a multitude of players. We're about to jump on here and we're chatting and everything. And there wasn't one guy last night who I was like, wow, that wasn't a great shift for you, every single player played really well. And I think particularly looking back, and I don't want to keep going back to, last season or the seasons prior to that to compare these
That's
teams.
all we have right now, though,
Yes. But this team is better. But you saw in the home opener, right? You got this kind of mucked up, drag it out, weather, cold kind of game, and good teams find a way to win these games. And we were able to do that. And I thought that people knew what their job was, specifically their roles, and they did them very well last night. And it all looked really cohesive.
Yeah, and again, it was looking very cohesive here right around that 20-minute mark, because the next minute after that Vasquez attempt, you get the stop, and then Dessler down there in the south end near that right sideline coming our way. Great piece of individual skill here to nutmeg a defender down that sideline, and then he sneaked a deflected pass past another to Obrian, and Austin off to the races here. Obi and Owen connect on a nice little give and go near midfield, and then after Owen released that pass back to hot air, he gets trucked and taken down from behind, but Obi continues to progress it back out to Dessler, who's overlapped those two out there, out wide on the right. Get it to Dessler. He whips a ball towards the spot, and who else? Your boy, Guilherme Biru, charging in right there above the 6-yard box and gets ahead to it and flicks it just wide of the target. But again, here in the notes, I said Austin finally starting to make some inroads with their dominant possession here. And then after that ball goes out, Danny comes up, takes exception to whomever had taken out his buddy Owen Wolf. You've also got Ilie complaining to the official. And on the replay, man, this probably should have been a yellow card, but I go back to just 10 minutes before that, where similar foul by Ilie, no yellow card given. So again, I had no issue with that. In the 21st, Austin, again, still finding success in breaking down this block compared to the first 15. Great ball from Ilie to Owen, who checked back into space about 30 yards out. He turns, he's got a ton of space. He takes 2 touches, and he has a crack at it, and that goes just wide left. And wide left was the theme here with our chances in the first half.
I mean, from the start of this game to the end of this game, I thought Owen Wolf was the best player on the pitch. And that is taking into account another Dessler. You just went through that highlight there of all the things that he's able to do, not only on the defensive side of the ball, but to be able to be a distributor when we're in the offensive third. I thought he was exceptional as well. But Owen stood out last night. Like, he really, really stood out. And I'm not going to take a little bit of a victory lap here or anything like that with what I said earlier in this season, where I felt like he was going to be the person who had the most weight off of his shoulders for this roster. This could just be a continuation of his progress and his growth, the type of prospect that we knew he was, the type of prospect that Roto believes he is. So, like, to watch him last night really flourish in multiple different areas, because he was really moving around and really finding himself with like a magnet towards the ball. Like, he was magnetized towards the ball. He was constantly getting to his foot. So he looked really great. And like you said, the pressure was cumulative, and we were continuing to push, and we were finding these cracks in them. The header by Biru, I think 5-6 times out of 10, that's going on target, more often than not. And like I said earlier, you put something on target with Postgame, you might be in a good situation.
Yeah, no question. And then again, this kind of little run here, this flurry continues, 24th minute. This is a great pass, I think, by Danny over the top to Vasquez, who's kind of cutting in behind. Those are the types of passes that you've seen guys like Seba in the past make, Alex Ring in the past make, that kind of a lofted ball over the top, just right to the spot where it needs to be. And Vasquez is backpedaling on this one. So he just, like, I thought very smartly and accurately nods this down right into the path of both Obrian and Bukhari. And unfortunately, those guys arrive at the same time and both kind of hesitate and then overrun the ball, and it just squirts between them, and Sporting was able to clear it out. So that's where I thought you start to see a little bit of the frustration build. But credit to the group, man. They did not let it get them down and take their minds off of what they were trying to do here. I did think as the half, and there's a couple notes I do still want to get to here, but as the half wound down, the last 10 to 15 minutes, the momentum did slow down a little bit, and you maybe hit that first game of the year type of wall where we've got the adrenaline of the first home match, we've got the fans behind us, the energy is off the charts in here, and okay, we get a little leggy to end the first half. But really here in the first half hour still, and again, like 27th minute, great diagonal ball here from Danny, which I know we want to talk a little bit about Danny in relation to some of the other midfield options as we go here, but like you said, he was not bad. It was just maybe that some other guys around him stood out a little bit more. Great diagonal here from Danny to Buka on the left. And Bukhari dekes his way through like 4 defenders and then sneaks a shot off before colliding with a fifth. But again, it just goes wide left of that post there in the north end. But again, that's just, you're seeing some of the guys who you expect the individual brilliance from being able to create that, especially for Osman last night. Like, this is another big reason why you just can't wait for Azuni to get out there, because you see the gravity that Buka has, where it's, if they can, the defensive team, if they can bring a double, it's coming. And you see it on this play too, where I think even before he makes this move, a double team comes, he gives it out, and I don't remember who tapped it right back to him, and then he's right off trying to find his way into a dangerous situation, and he does there. But I don't know, man. If you bring that instant double to Buka going forward, the gravity that he has can open up not just spaces for his teammates, but the more talented Azuni, right? Like, again, Azuni still has to come in here and do it, and the coaches have to put him in the spots to be successful, but the guy is the most expensive player in club history for a reason. And if that translates anywhere close to a 1-to-1, this is how much we paid, so this is how much we should get out of him. Like, I think you're going to be in trouble double teaming, not just Buka, but Azuni or BV. Like, BV was getting double teamed at times last night, especially as we progress the ball forward. So again, these are just like really good things to see. It's very promising.
Yes, absolutely. And like you pointed out to me first that they were almost immediately sending a double anytime Buka got the ball, and he was still giving them hell and
Yep.
just like beating the brakes off some dudes when they were in one-on-one situations and picking and choosing his spots pretty accurately. But yeah, once you get Azuni into the fold here, I'm assuming they're going to want to try to double him as well because we know the prowess. We know the guy wants to score goals. He's here to score goals.
Yeah.
He's here to break records. Again, I can tell you, so like it looked great. And I don't want BV to get lost in the sauce a little bit here. I know he has a really, really fantastic rip in the second half coming up and everything, but we're chatting about everything like balls coming off of goal kicks or what we perceived to be 50-50 balls in the past are 70-30 balls now because he is a big target. He is physical. He is strong, and he is able to hold people off on his back and then receive the pass. No matter how high, low, whatever it is, I thought we could have gotten some more balls into the box for him with some air on it to go ahead and like give him a chance to go up there and get it. But, again, can't have too many critiques about this performance last night. I do want to go back to what you brought up about like hitting that kind of proverbial wall in this first game. You don't have to be a detective, a sleuth to understand that this team is hyped up right now. There's a lot of excitement around this club, and it's in the locker room as well. And for us to not get a goal in this first half while dominating the game in most facets, and to see a bit of that frustration come on, but to be able to move past it and being able to stick to your game plan, stick to how you want to execute, I thought this team did great with that.
29th minute, I just noted there's actually twice because she does it 10 minutes later. But Kendra St. Albin on the call, who was the broadcaster last year who was saying that Biru's tackle was so disgusting and really going over the top with it. So I know there's a couple Austin fans that really made a point to point out that she called Owen Wilson twice in 10 minutes. 35th minute, you got a yellow card to Eric Tommy for dissent, and then the next minute, yellow card to Mikkel Dessler for a late challenge on Logan and Denbei. Seeing that on the replay, like that could have been a foul on either player. But again, now we start to see the cautions fly. The 37th minute, Buka makes kind of a wayward turn here in the midfield with his back to Sporting's net near midfield and turns right into a Sporting player, and they break towards goal. Willie Agata with a really nice through ball over the top to Daniel Shallowy down the right, who's free for a shot, and his shot is kick saved by Stuver. So Brad, really the first time he's been called on in any sort of serious fashion on the night, not able to secure it right on that kick save, and it falls into the path of Willie Agata, who continued his run towards net, and he smashes it over. It was an open net, man. It should have been 1-0 Sporting.
It definitely should have been a goal. And like we said before, we were talking about Stuver, we thought that he was not going to see as many chances as he did last season, but he was going to be faced with more clean looks and clean opportunities from the team. And this was the first one here. And yes, they should have scored.
In 42nd minute, Austin playing it out of the back. It's a nice 1-2 from Obrian to Brandon Vasquez, and Obi plays him through. Vasquez off to the races, and then he gets into the box, tries to cut it back, but Volador had recovered and kind of slid in there to get the ball away. But if that cutback worked, like first of all, I think Vasquez may have had a slight window to shoot. On the replay, I get why from that angle he tried to cut it back for a cleaner look. But if he was able to make that cutback, I don't even know if the shot was the play, because Osman had worked his way down free on the left there, and there was another tap in a couple minutes after that Agata miss that was there on the doorstep for Osman. So again, Austin on the doorstep of scoring multiple goals here in the first half, but not able to put one past Postgame, and we went to the half.
Yeah.
So coming out of the half, you do get a pair of changes for Sporting. You get the two DPs in there. You get Jovalic, you get Garcia in for Agata and for Bartlett. I think it's interesting. Like I know from reading materials from the Sporting side of things getting ready for this match that Peter Vermees just traditionally, he does not go with that two striker look. And I know that it doesn't make sense with their game plan last night, but I just think that I personally would be so worried about two up top with Jovalic and Agata. And so that I just thought it was an interesting maneuver there at the half. And Austin kind of,
again, continues to control this match in the early parts of the second period. Wolf and Buka combining down the left here in the 47th minute. Nice back heel to free Owen up for a cross, and that cross goes towards Vasquez. He turns and like loses control slightly, but Danny is making a run right into the path of that loose ball, and not too dissimilar from the Agata chance. It wasn't quite an open net, but it was a great chance for Danny, and he did send it over into the south end again. But right out of the break, Austin has not let the energy drop a lick, and it helped them, again, retain control of the game all the way through.
You know, I'd like to think that both teams were probably pretty satisfied with their performance in the first half and probably went into the locker room feeling pretty good about themselves. And you saw Vermees go ahead and see that they might have an opportunity to go ahead and seize some points here. You get Joveljic, you get Garcia onto the pitch for that side. And for us, I think that probably the locker room conversation is we're the better team. We've outperformed them thus far. Stay the course. It's eventually going to break.
Yeah. Yep. 56th minute, Dessler gets free off a throw-in, kind of down near the end line there in the south end on the right, and he fires across towards the face of goal, and Owen Wolf is crashing the near post. And this also should have been a goal, I think. I think if he gets any part of this ball, it goes in. And it seemed like he was in very close proximity to Postgame too, so maybe trying to avoid a collision there. But another great play from Dessler and Wolf in the right spot, and they just can't quite get it home. 58th minute, you finally get the Ilya yellow card here, and he again just wrapped up Eric Tommy on a breakaway, so he gets the caution. And then a minute later, I think it's like 3 instances in this match where there's yellow card for one team, a minute later yellow card for the other team. So again, you see that consistency coming from the head official. It was Radoya there for preventing Wolf from taking the quick restart. So it's starting to get a little bit chippy here. About 60 minutes in, you get a yellow card to Brandon Vasquez, who took down Logan Ndenbe from behind as he approached the Austin penalty area on a counterattack. And I thought it was a smart foul.
I didn't. I thought that we were in position there, and I thought that we were going to be able to handle that. I did not think that was a good foul. And I distinctly remember feeling that way immediately after it happened. I was like, oh, well, we're kind of back here. But, you know, in the moment, I'm not going to fault him at all for that.
Yeah, okay. 71st minute here. You get Sporting threatening just kind of momentarily. It's a nice changing ball to find Daniel Shallowy on the left side of the 18. And they ping the ball around in quick succession on that side before Ndenbe finds Joveljic. He gets around, like almost just completely splits Julio and Heinzike back there. But Dessler here makes what I think was the best play. Like this was the play of the game because Joveljic is in on Stuver. And Dessler is able to shoulder him off the ball and then whirl back to his left as I think Ndenbe was closing down on him and clear it out over him for a throw. And the crowd recognized it as well, man. There was a like kind of a half standing O there for Dessler's effort. And it was key, man, to keeping Sporting from coming in here and stealing not just, you know, a point, but all 3.
Yeah, he's really, really fucking good. And I'm glad that a lot of the fans were able to pick up on the fact that he was one of the best players, if not the best player on the pitch. I said Owen, but I'm not going to argue with anyone who thought Dessler was the best player out there last night. And, you know, like, again, another guy who was kind of lost in the sauce here. With everything that's happened, you saw the amount of money being thrown at the attack for this team and everything. But this dude is a certified stud. He's going to be one of the best backs in this league if he's not already up there. And I think you could see some all-star nods coming his way this season. Yeah, he's that good. You know, he's gonna get some assists. He's gonna score some goals. And like we see what he does on the defensive side of the ball, just his awareness and his ability to talk to people. That's another thing I want to point out is I thought the communication from the guys last night, 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Well, I think on Dessler, I don't disagree with you. I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see a Dessler goal. He has very few in his career. But I agree with you on the assists, especially when we get the hockey assists in this league. And to your point about he does the like actual soccer. So like he has the soccer acumen. Like if you know how to watch soccer, I'm not putting myself in that category quite yet, but like I think he does the stuff that your soccer experts will. Yeah. Like if you watch Dessler, that's how he gets the All-Star nod. Like, it'll be a coach pick. He ain't gonna rack up the counting stats, but he does the stuff that I think the real sickos, will see and be like, oh man, that's our guy. So right after that, you get Gallagher coming on for Obrian, and then Sporting mixing up another double change here. Basong and Rosero in for Rodriguez and Fernandez. 76th minute here. Austin wins a corner after trying to find Gallagher over the top down that left side. And that's where I guess I should mention with the sub, Gally comes in on the left, which moves Buka to the right. And I think that's a conversation we need to have too. I don't think Osman was bad on the left, but I think, again, it's a small sample because we saw him, I think, almost exclusively on the right last year. And we know that's his preferred side from the previous stops in his career. I think that when Mirtu is ready to go, that he'll be on the left and Osman on the right. Because I think he's more dangerous, Buka that is. I think he's more dangerous with his service when he's on that stronger right side and able to get to that in line with his right foot. But so Gally's down the left here, and this is not the first time in just the 4 minutes that he's been on the pitch that we've been trying to ping balls to him and let him run past some tired legs on that Sporting back line, but he gets it out for a corner, and Owen was on corners last night and sets. So he whips in a pretty nice corner here, like right over the scrum, and you've got Cascante and Buka on the back post with Davis sitting there but not quite tight to the post. And it just kind of bounces. Like, it was impossible to see from 100 yards away in the north end how this went in. But it ends up going off Buka's face. And look, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, man. You get a lengthy review, but the goal is rightfully given. It doesn't touch any part of his arm. It's definitely a goal, albeit a little bit of an awkward one. But again, Austin's got the lead, and that's all you need at the end of the day, right? Like, we'll take some of those quality chances that we had earlier that didn't quite get converted. We'll take the little bit of luck here when we get it.
Yeah, that's why this game is just so funny. You get an off-the-face goal, despite the fact that we had plenty of opportunities to put in a nice shot here. But yes, first goal of the season, absolutely fantastic. Place is going wild. Thrilled for Buka to be able to get it too, even though it did cost me in the over-under competition. Down
well,
one there.
No, it didn't, because your prop was first goal in the north end, so that's still alive, baby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Still alive. All right, even better then. But yeah, and the party starts a little bit here. We get the first inaugural Uncle Dave videographer, official game goal and everything like that. So that was fun to see. But
we got some broadcast confetti.
Oh yeah, that's right. A lot of we used up a good amount of.
There was a favorable win.
Yeah,
rather.
I saw someone behind us grab a lump and then just throw it in the air as well. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, man, and like, not the prettiest goal, but we'll take it. Also well deserved.
Yeah, and you get a couple changes after the goal in the 79th here. Diego Rubio and Basard Savage come on for Owen and Ilie. And then you get Leibold in on the other side for Radoya. 82nd minute. Great through ball here from Diego Rubio to Vasquez, who sneaks in behind. It's tough angle, but he cracks one on net, and it goes just off the crossbar and out. But again, that's just like, you see these moments of individual brilliance from the guys you should expect it from. And that's very exciting, because look, at some point, those tough angle shots that BV is taking, like, it's going to find that top corner. It's going to sneak past the keeper, right? And that was just, again, one of those just ever so close to really starting the party, right? Getting that insurance goal, you would have been able to unclinch a little bit down the stretch.
I thought maybe once we got that first one that we would really open up the floodgates on them. But again, they weren't really going to be pushing out. And the rest of this game, as we close this out, they're very, very non-threatening. But his ability here to get the amount of pace that he did on this shot, with his momentum carrying him away and his hips kind of not faced and squared towards goal, to be able to contort and get that much pop on that shot. Shit, man. Like you said, these will start going in.
Yep. 84th minute, you get Suleimanov in for Eric Tommy, which there had to be a concussion sub here for one of these guys, because that was their 6th. So that was a little confusing to me. But 85th, you get a yellow card to Joveljic for a rough challenge on Julio, and you see Diego Rubio in there working the dark magic, first going up to the official and then getting right in the ear of Joveljic, who looked like he didn't want any of that Diego Rubio around him. 89th minute, you get CJ Fodre on for Mikkel Dessler as he's cramping badly. And like, it was getting to a point where like, if we weren't going to get him off, we were just going to be a man down because he couldn't move. So you move Gallagher back there with CJ coming on and going up to the left. 6 minutes given. I don't know how. Because like, I know we had a review on the goal, but it wasn't that long. It certainly wasn't anywhere near 6 minutes. And to have a minute in the first half and then a fairly similar lack of stoppages in the second half. 6 seemed a little bit much, but you get a yellow card to Jake Davis for dissent in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. And then right at the end, Joveljic intentionally handles a ball that's going over his head and out of bounds. And I think I understand from an official standpoint that you don't want to throw somebody out for something so innocuous there, but like, if a guy grabs the ball purposefully, it's a yellow. And then it's a red. I'm sorry. It's just like, it's a mistake. And so like, I guess that's my one gripe with the officiating crew. It had no bearing on the outcome of the game, but I don't think Joveljic should be eligible for their next match, because if that happened to us and they gave us another yellow for it, you can't really say much.
No, I mean, well, let's take a step back here. He is on our best ball team. So,
Shit.
We'll
Forgot about that.
Good call. Good non-call there.
59% possession here for Austin, 12 shots to 7 in favor of the good guys. 2 on target, though, for each team. 8 of Austin's 12 shots were inside the box, only created 1 big chance. That was the Buka goal. 4 corners to 1 in favor of Austin. On FOTMob's model, 0.92 XG for Austin to 0.54 for Sporting, but you look at the expected goals on target metric, 1.01 for Austin, 0.35 for Sporting. So again, if you're new to XG, do not take that as gospel, but it is a small piece to the puzzle statistically that you can look at after a match, and especially with a larger sample size. So according to FOTMob's model, dude, outperforming XG. So I guess we're just, we're really not as good as we think we are.
There we go. What I like to see too is 291 passes in their half. We controlled the ball, and like you said, about 60-40 on the possession here, but it was in their face. It was in their zone. It was in their territory, and that is cumulative pressure that eventually leads to a break that you get with that Buka goal there. So a really impressive performance. In my book, I know you have some stuff you want to say about it and everything to kind of wrap this up, but if you take into the entire context and the hype that's surrounding this team, the understanding that this Sporting Kansas City team just played a game in a frozen tundra 2 days or 3 days prior to coming to Austin and going to have to play us in our home opener. Again, plenty of adrenaline in that situation in itself. To be able to find a way to win this game, particularly with how this team has looked in home openers or season openers for that matter, is really great. And it's a great start to the season. Once we get all of these guys into the fold here, you're just going to have to anticipate that this is going to start looking even better and better. It wasn't the outright domination that I thought we could have had versus this SKC team with a poor back line. But again, they did their jobs, and I want to tip my hat to their team and their coaching staff as well, because they did their jobs. They knew how they wanted to play that game, and they executed. And we found a way to win this game. And like we said, when we make our predictions, we don't care how you do it. Just get us 3 points and bring it home. And Austin was able to do that last night.
When you talked about the passes in their half, passes in the final third was 137-48 in favor of Austin, and passes into the final third 56-13. But passes into the opponent's box was just 10-8. So again, to your point, credit to Sporting for making it so tough on Austin to find that final action. And that's something that when we get to some of the quotes here from Coach Estevez, stuff that he was talking about, right? That we have to be better at finding that final action. And I agree, man. Like, I know you dropped a lot of these sentiments as we went through the game recap there. Dessler or Wolf could have easily been man of the match for me, but I understand why Buka gets it in the stadium for scoring the goal. Overall, I was not overly impressed by our performance, but let me kind of just explain my thinking there, because I was a little bit muted during the celebration last night, I thought, compared to when we've won in the past. But if I'm comparing it to the past, it was great. It was a awesome improvement over what we saw specifically during the 2024 season. But my bar is higher now because I know this team is better. And so, like you said earlier, that is a game that good teams in this league figure out how to win. And they did that. So I'm very encouraged. I'm very happy that we won. But I'm also trying to be cognizant, not just for you and I and our discussions here on the pod, but the greater discourse around the team right now coming out of an opening day win. We were inches away from not only this being a draw, but dropping this game entirely at home. And I can only imagine the fucking discourse if we didn't pull off an awkward ass goal, late on here. So I just want to keep that in mind, that like as impressed as I was comparing it to past iterations of this team, I don't think they didn't surpass my expectations on night one, and that's fine because this is still a work in progress. But I want to continue to see that progress as we fully integrate our new pieces that aren't quite up to speed yet, and continue to gain this chemistry with a new look roster. And so if you're able to continue to stack up a couple wins here in the first month or two while you're going through that process, that's just going to set the baseline for us to not be fighting for 6, 7, 8, 9 later in the season, but to be fighting for a top 4 spot, getting these points, securing points while most of the league is going through a similar process is something that we really only did in 2022. And to my point about having that baseline of points to start the year when everybody's figuring things out, you did that in 2022, and then you had a drop off at the end of the year, and you still had the 2 seed because of the work you did early. Yep. We don't expect to see that drop off later in the season. Of course, there will be further context provided over the next 5 or 6 months, but it was a very important win. So again, I do congratulate the guys. I just wasn't over the moon because I thought there was a ceiling last night of like, we come in and we just destroy those guys, and I think we're going to see some of that this season, especially when you play a team like Sporting, who is, again, I just think decidedly not on our level on paper.
Yes, absolutely. The expectation has changed for this team. This is a completely different team, a totally revamped roster. So the expectation has to change. I'll kind of, not battle back at you here, but like there was a lot of things in play last night, a lot of variables that you usually don't account for. You have the weather, you have the type of cold, you have this SKC team who, while they are also, went through a roster overhaul, got rid of a lot of household names, brought in some big names and everything like that. They did have one that counted already. And like they were able to go ahead and go through that. And when you have your first game of the season with a completely revamped roster like Austin has, trying to find the cohesiveness and again, to be able to gut this one out, I thought was impressive. I didn't think that we were we didn't open the floodgates on this team where it was 3-4 goals, which we easily could have done. But I'm going to go ahead and give SKC a ton of credit for the way that they played this game. And I'm just glad that we got 3 points and it's something positive to build on going into next weekend.
Yeah, and Coach Estevez, after the match, again, you get your first official post-game press conference from our new head coach. And he talked about Brandon Vasquez, and I kind of hinted at him talking about being better with those final actions, talking about Vasquez. He says his work rate was amazing. The way that he pressed, the way that he helped the team, and also the way he won aerial duels, some of the runs he made in behind, a couple of chances that he had. I think we in the attacking side have to provide more. I think we were good enough, and I didn't do a good job setting him up or the team to serve him better. And I think it's something that I can improve, and I have to do better for the next games because he was in great positions all the time. And so I think what stands out to me, and I imagine a lot of other Austin FC fans, is that rhetoric is just different from what we've been used to here in the post-match pressers, where he immediately says, yeah, he was great. and I can do more as the coach to try to set him up. And then again, the players have to go out and do it, but some people would say it's a breath of fresh air, but I think everybody can agree that it's just a different tune being sung, and that's welcome because different team, different coach, right? Austin FC 2.0 encapsulates everything. There's a little bit of different in every like nook and cranny of this club right now, and it's just it is refreshing, man, to hear something like that.
No, that's a great quote there, and I thought that he did a good job of highlighting the things that Brandon did well, while also being able to state that we left some food on the table here.
Yeah, and also when and I grabbed this quote from Phil West over at Verde All Day, talking to Stuver, and I think Stuver, this quote again to me gives me more confidence in what Nico's doing in training, because Stuver says they were dicing us up a little bit in the midfield. Joveljic is a great player and was able to find himself in a little bit of space. We got extremely compact at that moment, and Dessler was in a perfect spot to make that clearance, talking about that big time defensive stop. And he says, and that's what we've been working on. We've been working on having each other's backs and getting compact and making sure that we always have someone there to make the play. And so that latter part of his quote, I'm not surprised that that's something that any team is working on, but it makes me think about what you brought up about visibly seeing the communication between the guys. That was a difference here. So it seems like that's, they're just having a little bit more success with that. Cause I think when he said like making sure there's always someone there to make the play, I think in the few instances last night, really absent the rebound off of the Stuver save where Agata sends it over, like there was always somebody there in every moment except the one. And if you only have one moment every match where the other team gets a clear chance, like you're probably going to find yourself in the top half of the table.
Yes, absolutely. I thought we did a really, really good job of covering for one another when we found ourselves in some tight spots. And, that's a testament to the coaching staff and something that I continue to hope see, a part of this iteration of this club as this 2025 season moves forward.
Anything else for you on the opening night win?
Just so happy to be back. So glad we got 3 points there, and just really excited about the season, man. I'm amped up.
Yeah, same here. So we'll close it out here. Real quick academy update. I actually think the guys are still playing. They're out in Denver this weekend taking on Real Colorado. The 13s came in with a 0-0 draw here today on Sunday. The 14s also draw. It's a 1-1 scoreline. Pass wide from Marshall to Tyler, who took a hard shot on goal. The keeper pulse camped it, and Martez equalized with about 20 minutes left. So kind of stealing a point there on the road against Real Colorado. And I imagine the 15s got underway, but I think that is still happening right now as we speak. So 2 draws on the road. You'll take that, especially in the elevation, and keep it up, boys.
Yeah, in that elevation, and assuming bitter cold.
Yeah, right.
That can't be too much fun. So shout out to those dudes for sticking to the course and getting the job done.
Yeah, it's a good point. Well, let's close it out here today on episode 201E with a little bit of the nonsense, right? So shout out to anybody who tuned in, whether you caught it live or on the replay, to the best ball draft. Appreciate all of the outlets, whether it's all of our Austin-based friends here or David Goss from Soccer Wise. It was cool. Like you pointed out to me, this is something I don't notice when I'm hosting the draft because I'm doing, writing so many things, looking at multiple screens. But Goss was on the phone with Andrew Wiebe, like having his own little war room there. You pointed that out to me after the fact. So that was really cool. Excited for that. Obviously, to progress as the season continues. We'll have those scores posted later this week. There are 2 games here today in MLSE, and that can take us right into our week 1 picks because, again, we have a little bit of a betting journey here every year. Back in 23, not great. Last year, pretty darn good, right? 15 plus 15.11 units last season. And this year, we've got our partnership to start the year here with Underdog Fantasy. So we have now included an entry of the week. Right, E. So we're going to have an Underdog Fantasy entry here every MLS match day. And here for week 1, we narrowed it down to these 3 picks here, with Petar Musa to score, Guilherme Biru to have at least 1 shot attempted, and Leo Campana to have at least 1 shot on target. And wouldn't you know it, anybody who signed up at Underdog Fantasy with the promo code NorthEnd through our link and followed this entry got a prize of damn near 11x their money. I believe the payout on this selection, 10.96x with this coming through. So again, is it going to be like this every week? No. But we do the work here. We really enjoy the research part of this. And when it plays out like you think it could, it just, aids your night a little bit more. So that went well. And then just like with the regular picks here, as well, that like, if you're on the sports books, Atlanta United team total over 2.5. Check. San Jose plus 110. Check. Austin FC minus 125. Check. And we are slightly in the black here today. There's still 2 games, like I mentioned. So Vancouver and Portland are playing right now. And then we get the debut game of San Diego FC taking on the defending champs this evening. So I will certainly be watching that match. And I'm checking in on this box score live. Live here, we can confirm we will have not just a profit on Underdog this week, but a profit with the other picks as well, because Ryan Gauld at plus 230 has scored for Vancouver here, as Kamal Miller gets a red card in the 11th minute. So Whitecap's going to spoil the home opener for the Timbers there, up 2-0 and up a man at the half. But we've also got Chucky Lozano loaded up here with a goal prop. So house money here in week 1, headed into the night game. So again, just reiterate, if you want to play along with us here at Underdog this year, link to sign up there in the description, promo code NorthEnd. You get the bonus funds, you get the free pick, and you come back to the northendpodcast.com next Saturday morning to see what our week 2 entry is going to be. And hopefully we can go back to back here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Come have some fun with us, y'all.
Yeah. Anything else for you here, E, before we shut it down on episode 201?
Great to see everyone. What a night. Can't wait for a huge season going forward. So really excited, man.
I second all that. And I want to remind you all listening or watching that we are now in the regular season, which means the North End comes to you twice a week. So we will be back on Wednesday evening, previewing Austin FC's road match against Portland Timbers and talking about everything else that happens in the Austin FC universe. Between now and then, enjoy the beginning of your week, everybody. We'll do the same, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday for another episode of the North End Podcast. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.